Using gold and silver to save. Let's have a look. Good morning, everyone. Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, grab your cappuccino, because this is going to be quite an interesting article. It's from the ABC, and it's looking at, well, people using gold and silver to save and some of the benefits. So, I was surprised, actually, to see this on the ABC. You know, gold and silver as a saving product, it's usually the realm of the heterodox, the unorthodox, those who believe in these crazy economic theories that the government shouldn't be able to print money till the end of the world. You know, like Peter Schiff, all these nutters who seem to be proven right again and again. So let's have a look at this, guys. I think a bit of good news to start the weekend. So record low interest rates and the pandemic uncertainties fuel a gold price rally. Now, if we jump over to trading economics, we can see silver is at 24 US an ounce. Gold is at 1975 an ounce at the time of recording. So it's performing quite strongly. And what's really interesting in this article is some of the advantages that they say to holding gold as a method of savings. So she's got a nice bar of silver there and a nice, what is it, half an ounce of gold. What's interesting is I was talking to a colleague, and he like bought a whole heap of silver, like a lot of silver to invest in. I think he put his super into it. And the problem is, it's bloody heavy. You've got to carry a big bag of silver around. It really, it's a good workout, you know. I mean, there's another benefit. I wonder if they'll mention you can use your stacking as weights, guys, as weights. So, Deandra's saving strategy isn't that of the typical university student. Instead of stashing her hard-earned savings from her part-time job in the bank, she's gone for something harder to withdraw for a meal out or a shopping spree, buying gold and silver. So, you know, I only got into buying, even considering gold or silver as an investment last year, just by starting down this rabbit hole of looking at the economy. So it's great to see someone doing it at a young age, at university. I'm trying to teach my children to use, you know, buying silver coins as a way of saving, just so they have something physical in their hands. And the problem is, they've got the little money tins, and they'll hold them to see who's the heavier. And I go, kids, it only matters with silver, not with the fake money, with the fiat money. You know, the weight is irrelevant. It just shows you, doesn't it? So I found that in a bank account, it was just too easy to access. She told ABC's The Business, and I mean that's an advantage of it. If you got the money sitting there, I'll just take out a little bit, I'll buy that thing. You know, it's just easy. They want you to spend it. You can tap here, tap there. Sure, they're getting rid of branches now, but there's still ATMs everywhere. And whereas, you know, getting a bar of silver or a bar of gold, you can just put it anywhere. You can look at it. It can be a paperweight. And to liquefy it, it isn't difficult. You can do it. You could go to what is it? You could sell it online now. Other people want to do it, although that can be dangerous. You can go to a broker, you know, a metal dealer, or you can go to a pawnbroker. Lots of places would take it, you know. But that's the thing. That's a level of difficulty. It's another step. This is why Dave Ramsey, you know, all that lot on the Ramsey show, they're all against gold and silver, but there is an advantage to it in that, well, there's a risk in the fluctuation of the value, but it's difficult, you know, that extra step, that extra pain of giving up your bar to turn into cash. Introduced to the precious metals as a child by her grandfather, so it's granddad, so it's missed a generation. She says holding the physical weight of the metal made her appreciate their value. Yes, I agree with that. Let me know in the comments if you're a stacker, or if you've never actually held a bar, or, you know, a pure gold in your hands. It's something you need to do at least once in your life. I felt that any other product, the material wasn't worth the amount of money that they wanted me to pay for it, the 21-year-old says, comparing it to the fabric of the dress, for example. An ounce of silver, which, when I held it, the metal seemed more worth it to me. And that's the haptic sensation that you have. It's a feature of just your senses and your skin and your touch that's very important as a designer. This is why you can see, I'm going to bring this up here. The Gillette razor. Now, I know Gillette, well, one of these ones. You know what I'm talking about. Gillette destroyed it with their advertisements. But you can see here the Fusions or the Max or everything. One thing that you'll notice in these, if you pull them apart, and I just did it by accident, was that inside these, they feel heavier. They feel more expensive if you've ever used them. And obviously I'm not at the moment. But compared to like the cheap knockoff ones, they're the same thing, pretty much. There's very little difference between the cheap knockoff and these ones. But these ones here, they have a weight in them. If you break apart the handle, you can feel a weight in them. That gives them the weight. If you take out the weight and then use it, it feels very different. It's harder to use slightly. Maybe that's just subconscious, but it doesn't feel like it has the same value or the same worth. So it's just interesting, the psychology of that. So, and given she began buying gold and silver a few years ago when prices were lower, the value of her investment has climbed. While she intends to hold on to it for the long term, there is a bit of a temptation to sell some for profit. So the opportunity cost of holding gold, and here we go. This week, spot gold price hit a fresh record, climbing as high as $1,980 US an ounce, or 1,775 Australian midweek. That's a gain of around 30% since January. Amid the uncertainty of the health and economic crisis caused by the pandemic, investors have been searching for a safe haven. I think it's very much a case of history, Jordan Elzio, the manager of investment research at the Perth Mint, said. If you look back, really over thousands of years, gold has historically been a store of value, a trusted way to maintain wealth. Huge fiscal and monetary stimulus has been deployed by governments and central banks around the world, and interest rates are at record lows. That's seen the income returns from other relatively low-risk investments such as government bonds collapse. The US dollar has also fallen against a basket of currencies as the US pandemic crisis persists and the Federal Reserve pumps money into the system. As a result, the so-called opportunity cost of holding a non-income producing asset such as gold is lower, said Mr. Elizzo. The higher the rate of return you can get from leaving your money in the bank or investing in something like a government bond, there's a greater opportunity cost of holding gold, he said. If you look back to when the GFC hit, just over 10 years ago, you could get around 4% putting your money in, for example, a US 10-year government bond. Today, you can barely get 60 or 80 basis points. Once you factor in inflation, it's really like negative 1% is what you're earning. In that environment, a lot of people say, well, I'd rather have my money in gold. It's not like it's costing me anything in terms of income forgone or yield forgone. There you go. And it has the potential to preserve your wealth against the rampant money printing and the risk of hyperinflation. So who's buying gold and how? Are we all becoming gold bugs? So far this year, there's been a huge surge in investors seeking exposure to gold by buying units in gold-backed exchange-traded funds. According to the World Gold Council, there was a record US $40 billion in net inflows into gold ETFs in the first 6 months of the year. That was equal to 734 tons of gold, which the Council says is significantly above the highest level of annual inflows, both in tonnage terms and US dollar value. However, demand for physical gold bars and coins weakened, down 17% compared to the first half of last year. Is that because everyone's already stacked? There was a fall in demand across much of Asia and the Middle East, but bar and coin demand in the US nearly tripled in the first half, with European investment also surging. He says the Perth Mint saw high demand for its minted products, with sales in March and April around 3 times the monthly average recorded over the last 7 years. Those numbers are now basically back to where they were when the GFC hit, he said. Central banks continue to buy gold, adding a net 233 tons to their reserves, but that was a 39% drop than the record buying scene in 2019, and more concentrated with fewer central banks buying. Too bad ours aren't. So gold stocks in sight of value investors. High-profile value investor Warren Buffett is well known for his aversion to gold, arguing it holds little value as an unproductive investment. Whilst gold is an attractive metal and a great conductor of electricity, gold functionally doesn't really do anything. Rob Hay from Collins Street Asset Management said, "Gold doesn't create an income. Gold can't replicate itself to generate future growth. So as a value investor, owning gold as a commodity is not something we typically do." Yes, but gold is there as a protection against potential for rampant hyperinflation. But I mean, even having that opinion, is that going against the accepted orthodoxy of economics these days? There's a question I put to you. However, Collins Street has bought a basket of gold stocks as part of their value fund to take advantage of the demand for the precious metal as a hedge against broader market volatility. A lot of investors are using gold as an insurance against the craziness that is going on, the geopolitical uncertainties and the uncertainties presented by pandemic and the deteriorating economic backdrop, Mr. Hay said. For us, we find good quality businesses who are able to generate strong margins on their gold-producing operations and invest in those, as well as a way of facilitating the production of gold and the sales of gold to the people who hold those views. Rather than buying into the major gold miners, Mr. Hay said, the fund has bought shares in a range of producers trading at low price-to-earnings ratios at various stages of production and exploration in different locations. Investing in gold stocks provides exposure to gold price movements, but with the added company-specific risks that can see large share price moves to both the upside and the downside. For now, Deandra is sticking with buying bars and coins as she likes to know exactly what she's getting. It's a way, if you're not too confident with the stock market or even cryptocurrency, you can at least invest in gold and silver and have it in your hands. You haven't just typed in a few digits and your money's gone, she said. Well, I think she's a very smart girl. I think it's the fact that locking your money into chunks of metal, and it's going to make it harder to go on a spending spree, it's going to make it harder to go out, is probably a really good lesson. It's a really good lesson. And here's a question for you, because we'll look at another article today where essentially people are punished for saving. People are punished for saving by the government. You know, would these metals, would they count towards your liquid asset test with regard to getting job seeker payments? There's a question for you. Let me know if you know that in the comments. So the key points here, gold hit a high of $19.80 an ounce. Over the first 6 months of the year, investors poured $40 billion into gold-backed exchange-traded funds. Analysts say record low interest rates and bond yields mean there's little lost opportunity cost of holding gold. And I know people are going to say, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. I understand, but there's, a range of different options you can get into precious metals. When's the first time you purchased precious metals? Let us know in the comments. Is it something you've just done recently? Is it something you've considered? I'm trying to, encourage my mother to just at least get a little bit, just to hold, a few kilos of silver, just to sit, keep, just in case. You never know. And, it looks nice. As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I created, there are a few ways you can support us. Simply interacting with the content. Commenting, liking, sharing the videos helps the channel grow. You can support us financially via joining us on YouTube or Patreon, using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin, buying our merch from HeiseSays, using Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or supporting us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I will see you all in the next episode.